So how the hell do you grow a construction company or a property company for that matter if you're so damn busy that you just haven't got time? Because what tends to happen is that you get caught in a vicious cycle. So you get busy and all of your time and focus is spent delivering those projects. And while you're doing it, you're not actually building up the pipeline of the next set of projects. So when you've taken the step to start employing people, what you find is that you begin to have cash flow gaps where you've still got a team of people that you're paying, but you haven't got enough work to feed them. And what tends to happen is that you start to put off the things you know you need to do because you're the only person who can do it. So you need someone to help you do those quotes and get them sent out, someone to finalize the invoices and make sure you've charged for everything, all the materials, etc., and send it out. You need someone to manage the jobs. You need to stop jumping in and going on the tools yourself. And the cycle just goes on. So you just never have time to actually spend growing your business because you get caught in this sort of repeating trap of feast and famine. So let's have a look at what you can do about that. So I've called this, really, it's the curse of busyness. It's running around like a headless chicken, not seemingly getting anywhere, and it's all pointless. You're just back to where you started constantly. So one of the things I want to talk about is the inspiration behind this little session. It's certainly something I've done in a kind of an installation company. It was an IT company, and we actually achieved this. We systemized everything. If I was to summarize this book, it's the art of making yourself redundant gradually. And you need to actually look at the traps that you get yourself stuck in. So let's go through those. But this is the inspiration behind it. It's worth buying. It's worth having a read. You can get it on audio as well. And I know it's been updated several times since that version. So what this book does, it basically asks you to say, right, when I have finished creating this company, what will it look like? And there's kind of a structure to it. Now, this might seem completely unachievable right now, but it's worth actually looking at all the roles that you play, particularly when you're starting out solo. Your name goes under every single one of these job titles. So you're doing everything. You're going out, you're estimating the job, you're quoting for it, you're sending the quote, you're scheduling it. Once they say yes, you're actually doing the job. Then you're coming back late at night and you're doing the invoicing and chasing payments. So you're doing absolutely everything. So at the moment, your name is under each of these job titles. And the art of making yourself redundant is beginning to get rid of some of these jobs. Now, that doesn't mean that you necessarily, these days in particular, that you necessarily need to employ people. So let's start with these. So let's look at the finance director or the person who's doing the accounts. That's something that you can outsource, and it can start at a few hours per week. You can find somebody to do that. There are many ways and means of finding virtual assistants or virtual finance assistants. There are companies where you can outsource the bookkeeping, and obviously you can appoint an accountant. So that's an easy one. And that's something that you should do, particularly the bookkeeping. You know, try and get that outsourced so you're not spending time worrying about it. Next, the admin and HR. Again, get a VA, someone who can do the quotes for you. someone who can do the invoicing, someone who can schedule you in, someone who can liaise with the customer and let them know when you're going to arrive or when you're going to be late. Because it's going to be you predominantly at the beginning until you start taking people on. And even if you're midway through this, it's still worth benchmarking yourself. Where are you up to? Are you still doing too much on the admin side? Are you working late at night doing the invoicing? And the other point I've made there is get an app. Get an app to automate a lot of these processes. It will be a big upfront investment, but it will reduce the amount of outsourced hours that you need. And the app goes across all functions, from people arranging the job, scheduling it, doing the estimating, doing the quotes. You can get all of that done on an app. And a one-off investment is worth it long term. And if you've got the spare cash, I would do it as early as you can, even if it's only you using the app to begin with, because that gives you the ability to outsource and bring all of these other people on. Next, now these are the things where you are more likely to need to insource. So this is employ people. And this requires some focus. So you need to start thinking of people. Are you going to get someone who's going to be doing the quotes for you? Somebody who's an estimator? You're going to outsource that to a quantity surveyor or someone else? Are you going to have somebody managing a team of people? This is where you've got to start considering this is going to be your first major ongoing expense. Because if you can have the projects managed, that's where growth can be achieved. Next, the sales and marketing or networking. And this is really promoting what you do. Now, this tends to be the thing that is dropped first, and it's arguably the most important. If you get this completely fixed so that you've got a constant flow of new business, then that can be where you almost take your first step towards freedom, because ultimately your original goal when you thought of this, for a lot of people, it's being the CEO, it's being the person in charge, the owner. You don't have to come into work. You can spend the time on the golf course or the beach or doing whatever it is you want, and someone else takes care of your business. Now, the final step before that, and I would actually say it's the first step that you've got to prioritize, is the sales and marketing. If you can keep the flow of work coming in, and then you can get all of the other things managed properly, you can actually start to really grow the business. And as the business grows, you can go down from director level to start filling these management positions. And then you can obviously increase the number of frontline people who are doing the actual work. So that's all very well in theory, isn't it? It sounds great. So how do you actually go about it? Well, this is the biggest problem people have. It's letting go. It's because you care about your business. And the mistake a lot of people make is called abdication. That's where, say, for example, you're a plumber, you take on another plumber to go and do the job, and you just assume that they're going to do it the same as you, with the same care, with the same quality, to the same high standards. And that's the problem people make. They don't focus on delegation. And this is the key. It's, you don't build a business. So this quote is really good. You build people. And that means you need to start focusing on what is it that you do. And you need to transfer that in the form of clear instructions to everybody who's involved in every stage of the process, that they have to do it to the same high standards that you demand as the business owner. And they're not going to do it unless you document it and get it out of your head. And it's those special things that you do that are important. And you need to download it from your head into some form of system. And that system can be, at the very basics, do it in writing and create a manual, record videos. We'll come on to that in a minute anyway. So you need to get those things out of your head. I haven't got a slide for this, but this is really important. You have to potentially take people on who are better than you, particularly all the other things. You could be a specialist in your field, but you're not the best person at doing invoices or quotes or estimating or accounts. So those are the obvious things. You need people better than you at those. But there's nothing wrong with people taking on people who are better than you at the specialist skill that you have. And within construction, you can start to move sideways. So you might start in a specialist area. You're a joiner, you're a plumber, you're an electrician, but then you start moving into things like installing bathrooms. So it's like you need an electrician. Even if you're a plumber, you need an electrician to do parts of that job. So you can start moving sideways as well. And this is where some things you can outsource at the skilled labour side. So you can outsource to another individual. You can bring in temporary labour. People like Kennedy Consulting, they can supply any skill that you want and supply really good people who are available. You're going to be working on lower margins. However, you don't have the salary afterwards. So consider that. Take on people who are better than you. Now, when you're delegating, it's not just about explaining how you do something. It's also explaining why. So silly examples. You're putting a roof on a building. You need to make sure that the walls are there first. Why? Because it'll fall down otherwise. So all of these hows and whys, people need to have some purpose. Now that's a ridiculous example. But here's another one. You need to hoover up, clean up after your work. Why do you do that? Because you've got some people who'll just walk out and leave it up to the customer to clean up after you. But if you do that, then why you do it is because it helps protect your job. Because when you clean up, you get more recommendations, and recommendations are critical to building your reputation and moving your business forward. So hoovering up and cleaning up afterwards is a really important part of the job. So you need to explain all these hows and whys. It's proper delegation rather than abdication. So you've got to be explicit in your instructions, particularly when you're employing people. You need to give them standards. You might need to have a form where they declare that they have done all the things that are standard. And it can be things like, greeting the client in a friendly manner. These things are important. Bedside manner is really important. You've got to show that you care. So system ideas. Your system, these are the things in your head which make what you do quality. It's why you don't give it away, because you're not sure somebody else will do as good a job as you. But the only chance they have of getting to the same level as you is if you download from your head what it is you do. And I mean every single detail. So that hoovering detail, you need to go into depth about that. It's not just hoover up. You need to wipe up. You need to wipe as well. You need to get the dust off the surfaces. You need to hoover up. You need to move everything into the bin, not just leave it in a bag on the floor. Those little touches you need to document. If you can, and you're confident, and it's like anything in life, once you've done the first one or two, it gets more comfortable. Record videos of you explaining what you've written down. And ultimately get them programmed into an app, because an app can do virtually everything for you. It can do the scheduling, it can do the estimating and turn that into a quote. So you can choose all of the materials that you need for the job through the app. Then you add in the estimates for labour, and then you push a button and it emails the quote to the client. You want things like that done, so you don't have to think about that, because then you've got to go and type it in individually into a quotation document. You don't need to have to do that. You can get an app to do that, but you need to program in all of those things in your mind. You need the app to schedule people. You need the app to produce the invoice and to instruct your VA, your virtual assistant, to let the client know what date you're going to be coming in, let the client know what payments are needed and by when. All of these things can be programmed into an app, and you can even put the videos of you explaining the process into the app for the people that you outsource to or you employ. So consider how you're actually going to download from your head. So 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. When you get time, start to document all the things that other people don't seem to do as well as you. So turning this into action, operations in-source. So you're going to need some level of management, which is likely to be in-sourced, but you can subcontract elements out. So it could be other trades and specialisms. It could be using temporary labor to actually manage growth. So you're not taking on permanent salaries when you've got an upswing in projects which may not be sustained. So in-source some, but outsource part of it. Finance, that's one that is more easily outsourced. Admin, you can outsource that and you can get an app. Sales, this is the one thing that you need to be responsible for. You need to be the custodian of your business, building a network which delivers the work that you require and seek. And that's something that is going to be a primary responsibility of you. It's rare that you're going to get anyone else doing as good a job as you in this element until you've actually documented exactly how it's done. But you need to be the first person that represents your business and build that network. And then eventually you can in-source parts of that job. Now, this is what you need to do to actually get the growth in your business is that you need to represent it. So this is about networking and building trust with the key people that can give you both bread and butter work and the project work that you really seek. Now, this doesn't happen in an instant. It's like you're in a bar, you're having a drink, and across the room, you see the partner, the future partner of your dreams. So you pick up your drink, you walk across the room, you introduce yourself, and you go, "Hi, I'm Ian. Would you like to get married?" That is too soon. Trust doesn't happen in an instant. It takes time. And the 4 cornerstones of this are on screen now. Now, this is being you as an individual, because sometimes this is a mistake I've certainly made. And I made this mistake for years. I put on this kind of corporate front and I pretended to be somebody I wasn't. You just need to be you, whoever that is. It doesn't matter. Some people will buy into you. Enough people will buy into you. Some people will not buy into you. It doesn't matter what you do, whether you pretend to be the corporate person and trying to put the professional look on. You're always going to get people who don't like you and people who do like you. So get to be you as soon as you can. Then there's you as a professional. So you need to be able to prove you know what you're talking about. And in a networking context, that is you describing what it is you do. Mostly in networking, it's only you only need about a minute to do it. And then the conversation turns into projects that you're working on, things that you've got coming up, things that you'd like to do. You as a professional needs to be part of this 4-pronged jigsaw. Social proof you do a good job. That is getting testimonials from clients, getting reviews within our network, Caplo, getting reviews from other members you've worked with, because that has a little bit more credibility, because it's somebody who's also in the same community as saying, "I've tried them and they do a great job." Other people are going to be much more confident. because the person giving the review is somebody they know as well. And the final part is turning up. Now, this is the challenge. If you want to grow your business, you need to turn up and prioritize networking, because that is the foundation stone, a regular flow of the work that you need. And turning up means, particularly in Caplo, it means you've got a daily conversation in the WhatsApp group, not necessarily every day, but once or twice a week. Take part. That shows you as a person. Some of the topics will show you as a professional, because we mix up the topics. And on Friday, make sure you pitch your business. That's turning up. That only needs to be a couple of minutes. Take part in the conversation twice a week, 5 minutes each. 30 seconds on a Friday. If you've copied your pitch, copy it and paste it on a Friday. It's not a great deal of effort. The Chip Butty event, the Chip Butty and Curry event, it's once a month. Turn up, get to meet people in person. That really accelerates trust faster than anything if you've met in the flesh. The Zoom calls, those people who've been afraid of them, and there's been many, after they've done one or two, they realise it's a lot easier than you think. And it makes a big difference. You get known. When people have heard you explain what you do, that really increases the trust levels. And finally, have one-to-one meetings. So there are some people in this community that do, or that are involved in the types of projects that you can get involved in. So why not go and have a coffee with them? Get to know what it is they do. They can get to know what you do. You can possibly recommend them. They can recommend you, or appoint you to work as a subcontractor, or recommend you to their clients who need just what it is you offer. Really, that's it. That's how you grow a business. It's about having the end goal in mind. And I'd say the biggest thing is letting go. You do need to let go. You need to let go of all the things that you think only you can do to the same standard. The reason why you can't let go is that you haven't spent time downloading from your head exactly the process that you follow. If you can do that and start to plug those gaps, you start to make progress. You need to prioritize actually representing your business. Yes, you've got to do all the work as well, but it's like, if you don't put the effort into building a network, when all those projects dry up, who do you call? You don't know anyone, or they've forgotten you. So it's like, that needs to be maintained to continue to feed the growth and to feed the people that you take on as you grow. So I hope that's been useful. Thanks for listening.